Guys, we need some more coyote bait. So we're going to use some ground elk meat from Colorado. I like to use a clear container because I want to be able to watch the taint. I typically am going to taint for about 10 days now. I used to do a week and it smelled perfect, but when I hit it with the sodium benzoate, it sort of tames it down. So I'm going to go about 10 days this time. I like a clear container so I can watch it, and it's going to go from the red, and I want about an inch of gray. It should turn gray as it's tainting down and it's bubbling, but you're going to see a color change as it works down, and I like about an inch of gray. That's about where I like it. Then after about 10 days, we're going to hit it with sodium benzoate. It's going to sit there for about 10 days then. And once it gets stabilized, we're going to add some glycerin to it. That helps to sort of seal it in, helps to freeze proof it, and it keeps it from drying out really bad. Then we're going to add some Clint Locklear's liquid mice. Then we'll package it up in little tiny containers, and we'll show you the videos as we get tight chains on with coyotes at the end of it. We cut the elk meat in 1-inch strips so it'll go through the grinder. After we grind half the elk meat up, to spice it up a little bit, we're going to throw in 3 mice. No, I guess that's 4. 4 mice that we caught back in the summertime. We just throw them in a used Gatorade bottle and throw them in the freezer till we're ready to make bait again. And this really spices it up when you also add the Clint Locklear's mouse oil, and then we're going to grind the rest of the elk meat up. This is going to be a really small batch. Usually when I make it, I make about 3 gallons at a time if you look at my other videos. But the final thing I do before I put the lid on this for a 10-day taint is I will add some alligator oil. I get this Gator Oil from Webster Predator Control. And we're going to pour that on top, and then we're going to put the lid on, but we're not going to put it on tight because it's got to breathe, and we're going to let it taint for 10 days. So I have to do it inside because it's 5 degrees outside and it'll just freeze. Bacteria won't taint it. But this is a 2-day taint so far. You'll see that bubbling going on. You'll see it's warm to the touch. And what I'm looking for, it'll actually start to grow and raise up a little bit, and it will turn gray. And then when you hit it with sodium benzoate, it'll shrink back down and dry. You'll actually hear it doing a sizzling type noise, like when you open a can of pop. What, 8 more days? Okay, this is check day 3 of our homemade coyote bait. Interesting thing I'd like to point out is look at how all the liquid is pushed up to the top, but down at the bottom you have all these voids, and that's because of gases coming off is pushing the liquid up to the top. But okay, look at it here. I'll see it bubbling. See how we have all these voids down here? All these voids, and the liquid is up here. But a problem I have, and this is why you need to stir it, if you look at the top, see how brown that is on top because it's drying out. So at this point, on day 3, we need to stir it really good. And at this point, it smells like urine. But this is why I like a clear container, so we can actually see the stratification as it taints down. So yeah, this is day 3, I believe. We got 7 more to go. Okay, this is check day 5, and we don't have any gray appearing yet, but you'll see some bright pink down through here. See that? We still have voids pushing gas up. See that? Liquid on top. We do have a little bit of mold. See this? We got some mold growing on top. I failed to stir it up. I couldn't find So whatever you're going to stir it up with, you need to throw it away. Still smells like urine. It hasn't really got a rank smell to it yet. But see, if you squeeze it a little bit, you can get that liquid dropping down where the voids are. So that's really why you need to occasionally stir it up. So I was going for 10 days, but because of the temperature, another day or two, and that'll probably be it. It's all based upon the temperature and the bacteria that were introduced into the meat, breaking it down. How the liquid goes back down once you release the air. When you squeeze it a little bit, you can release the air and then the liquid can go down. See that? There's no voids now. But anyways, that's check day 5. We're probably only going to go 2 more days. We're not going to hit the target of 10 because it's going faster than I thought it would. We don't want it rotten or the roll in it. You just want it tainted. This is day 6. And you will see we got a lot more bubbling action. Sizzling. Once again, we're developing voids. Pushes the liquid to the top. But you're going to start to see we're having a color change. We're getting more of a light pink on some of it. The smell is starting to change from a urine smell to more of a sweeter type smell. We're going to go another day or two and we're going to hit it with the sodium benzoate. Still waiting for this gray. It's going to start turning gray here and moving down a little bit. That's usually one of the key things I look for. But look at this bubbling action in the liquid there as it's starting to decay and put off gas. I'm not sure what kind of gas that would it be. Carbon dioxide like in wine? Because it is fermenting a little bit, right? Okay, it has been 10 days and I went the full 10 days and it's time to now stabilize it. We're going to hit it with a 1/2 cup of sodium benzoate, stir it up real good, and then wait another 10 days for it to stabilize. And then we'll add Clint Locklear's mouse oil and a couple other secret ingredients. This is day 1 after we added the sodium benzoate to the meat. And one thing I'd like to note is when we had active tainting, fermentation, whatever you want to call it, going on, we had all this condensation all over the jar. And as soon as we hit it with sodium benzoate, all that stopped. But it still takes 10 days to stabilize the meat. But at this point, I like to stir it every day. And I'm afraid that it's a little dry. That's why you typically add glycerin. But I won't do that until after it stabilizes. But normally I add a little bit of water with the sodium benzoate, but then it's awful runny. If you look at a lot of your baits, commercial baits you buy, you'll see there's water in the jar. And I find if you don't have enough water in the top of the jar, the very top will dry out on you. But it's still pretty loud in the odor, but the sodium benzoate will tame it down quite a bit. That's why I went a full 10 days this time, because in the past when I only went 7, I thought it tamed it down too much. So I do recommend at this point wearing a mask because it's pretty loud. Yeah, wear a mask because it is pretty yummy at this point. Okay, it was really hard. Have you ever mixed up concrete and you had to add more water because it was too dry? I felt like it was too dry, so I added this much distilled water out of a cup, that much distilled water with almost a half a cup of more sodium benzoate because I felt like it was too dry to be absorbing the sodium benzoate. So I added that water, let it sit on top, and I could stir it up a little bit better, and I'm going to be pretty happy with it like this now, I believe. But if it's too dry, it's just too hard to deal with. I want it a little moist. So it needs to sit for another 9 days to stabilize. Okay, guys, this is 2 days after I've added the sodium benzoate. This is the last batch I made, and it was a 7-day taint, and there's liquid in there. I added too much liquid, but it helps keep it from drying out. I'll use it as a trailing scent. But I don't know if this is going to show up or not, but I wanted to show you on a 7-day taint, you still have texture to the meat. And it was, sort of like ground beef. It's still there, okay? But on the 10-day taint, it's like a paste, and it has no texture to it. It's not like ground beef that's all ground up. Well, this still had texture to it, if you know what I mean. Okay, but a 10-day taint, it's mush. And I even added water to it. It's more like peanut butter. But boy, it is a whole lot louder than the 7-day taint. And I also got this a lot warmer. So anyways, it's been 2 days with sodium benzoate. I don't know, maybe it's 3. I like to stir it every day. That's what I'm doing right now. We're going to do a final stir. And in 10 days, we'll package it up in small jars. And it was elk meat, and I put in 3 or 4 mice, grinded up with it for the taint. So, but I was just interesting that we had, I don't know if you can see it there. See how that's still chunky and has texture to it? I don't know if it's going to show up or not. But see how that's chunky? There we go. That's a better shot. See how that's chunky? See that? After a 7-day taint, but a 10-day, it's just mush. I put it in mason jars, and that's the only way I can store it that you don't have odor. That and the plastic ammo cans that's got the rubber seal. Otherwise, there's no way to keep from smelling this stuff. And this stuff, it is calmed down quite a bit after 2 days. It's not as... That's why I went 10 days, because 7 was pretty mild, but 10, it was loud. But that sodium benzoate really tames it down. Hey guys, it's gassed off. I would like you to note how we have a different coloration compared to what's... It's just like sodium nitrite. See what it does to it with jerky. But anyways, we're going to take these repurposed containers and the bait in them. I've changed my mind. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill these up, and I'm going to put mouse oil from Clint Locklear in one, and the Gator Oil in another, and leave that one plain. See if there's a difference. But what we're doing is we're going to take this hook knife, and we're just going to cut all the way around it, nice and low here, so we can get in there to dip everything out. I cannot hold a camera while I'm filling these because my hands are going to be full, and I'm not going to get bait on my phone. So that basically concludes my bait making video. Tight chains, guys.